What is up, guys? Welcome to more Clash Royale tip videos. I'm your host Killer with Killer Gaming. Today we're going to be showing you an updated version of the Grave Bowler Troller deck. I've replaced the Musketeer with a Mega Minion, the E-Wiz with a Freeze, Archers for minions, and a Zap instead of arrows. Basically, it's a little bit cheaper of a deck. The Freeze offers more damage capability. It basically gives you a lot more burst. The Archers have more health than the minions, and the Zap is just more utility. Basically, anything that comes in, you got that half a second stun duration. And yeah, jumping right in. I'm not sure about this first person. I can't read the name, but my opening hand wasn't that great, so I just dropped that minion on the back left-hand side, and I just kind of let my elixir build up from there. And then I started actually rushing the opposite lane. He might have expected me, she might have expected me to continue with the minion, maybe offer some support, but it's actually a good idea to double lane rush, because one small weakness of the graveyard is that once the tower is down, it's a little bit harder to get the play going. I've found that you can drop a big tank in the middle to help aggro the damage from both of the remaining towers, follow that up with a graveyard, and then drop a freeze for wherever it is your opponent wants to counter. Unlike most people that say, oh, deal the most damage you can to both towers, and then whichever one you take, just kind of follow up from there. You can play graveyard that way, and it's still as effective as if it were the first tower of the game. Basically, also, I have the bowler in this deck, and that means that the play style is going to be a little bit slower. The bowler pauses every so often to bowl his rock into any troop or building that shows up across his path. So like against this guy who's using a tombstone, it was very effective because the bowler would stop every so often on my side of the map. I could build up elixir and then just follow up with it. The elite barbs are also in this deck. They're really to just catch people off guard, as I said in my first video. They have that incredible move speed, so you drop that on the opposite lane like you do with the double lane rushing, and it just demolishes towers if they're not waiting for it. As you can see, he's dropping his tombstone continuously, trying to distract me, but at this point the game's pretty much closed out. I've got a lead on damage. I've taken one tower, and so what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of keeping the tempo with him, making sure the pressure stays on so that he doesn't have time to build up any kind of counter push against me. Which is actually surprisingly effective with this deck. It's a 3.8 elixir deck, but you can cycle your cheaper cards as long as you basically hold on to your bowler or hold on to your graveyard. You can cycle through your other stuff and still, pretty much keep up with the tempo of any deck that you face. Yeah, basically this game is shut out. There's only 30 seconds left. There's not much he can do. He did drop that late freeze, however the placement was a little bad. My bowler was still going. I dropped that ice golem to distract. He was able to take the tower, but by this point in the game I've taken both towers, so there's not really much he can do here as far as a comeback. We're just kind of playing this out at this point. But yeah, you also want to get kind of creative with the pushes. A lot of people get kind of stuck in these combinations that they've preset in their mind. Like anytime they drop a bowler, they say, okay, I'm going to follow up with a graveyard. You don't necessarily have to do that. As you can see in either the next video or one of the other videos, I'll use my archers to tank some shots, and then I'll drop a graveyard, or I'll use the minion, the Mega Minion. He's actually semi-tanky, so if the opponent's left the Mega Minion by himself on one side, why not drop a graveyard? The Mega Minion is going to be taking shots, enough time for your skeletons to do some damage. But right here we have Enders from C Team. I did have the Ice Golem in my opening hand, so I went ahead and dropped it down the left-hand side, followed up with the Mega Minion. I was caught a little bit off guard by a Dark Prince, because really, come on, who plays the Dark Prince? I think it's like the least played card in the meta right now. So it kind of threw me for a loop. As you can see, this guy's got Poison as well as Goblins. They're not really cards that I see too often. And he does have Golem, which we see later on. And actually, the way we played the Golem was kind of iffy, but it's a choice. It's an option you have just in case you don't really have anything to answer with. He's got his archers coming down the left-hand side. He drops that Dark Prince again, so I just put a bowler to tank basically, so he can hit him and the archers behind him. Got that Ice Golem distracting the Mega Minion there. so that my tower could get the shots off and basically take care of it for me. I didn't really have to waste any more elixir. So yeah, basically we're at a standstill here. Just letting elixir build. I've made a lot of progress on that left hand side, and he really hasn't done much damage to me. I think this is the first time we're going to see him use his golem, and so what I actually do is I actually decide to rush him with the barbs, because I know he only had 2 elixir when he dropped it, and I had the zap in my hand, so went ahead and zapped that away and got some really solid damage on that right hand side. However, I feel like the best play right there in that situation would have been to hold on to the elite barbs, maybe drop something else like the ice golem or whatever, and use them to melt down that golem, because he does get a lot of damage off on me right here. The explosion damage also hurts the archers, takes them down to one-shot range, and so now his archers and his mini golems are doing a lot of damage on that left-hand side. I've done a lot on the right-hand side myself, so I'm still in the lead, but that golem had me worried, because now see he's dropping it right at the bridge, expecting me to misplay like I did before, but I followed up this time actually using the elite barbs to melt down that golem, and then I went ahead and zapped everything away, because that mega minion would have done some real damage if he still had something tanking for it when it came to my tower. And at this point I actually used the remaining troops that are counter pushing as tanks for the graveyard. So the tower was distracted shooting my smaller troops. I went ahead and dropped the graveyard. He followed up with his counter, and that allowed me to freeze everything and get that massive damage boost that I really needed. Because as you can see, there's no direct damage spells in the deck. I don't have a fireball. Zap doesn't really deal a lot of damage. So if it's a situation where you need to deal that last bit of damage to close out the game, this is not the deck to do it. You have to make sure that all of your plays are really solid, and you have to make sure that you're dealing the damage necessary to take the tower completely. Because if you're caught not taking the tower and the opponent figures out your defense at that point, well, you're pretty much done. So yeah, moving right along, I think up next is King Mohammed from Top Clan. And as you can see, I do have the Ice Golem in my opening hand, as well as Elite Barbarians and Archers, so I have a lot of versatility as to how I can start. Not really sure why I dropped that Crying Face there. I guess maybe he didn't queue up with the right deck or something, but I went ahead and dropped split Archers in the back, just because I had the Ice Golem, but again, it would have taken too long and my elixir would have really stopped up. I would have been at a disadvantage. So dropped the Ice Golem, followed up with the Graveyard, and dropped the freeze after the Valkyrie came down. I was waiting for the troops. So that's the other thing, guys. You have to be patient. I think it was my brother who at one point told me that I take too long dropping my stuff. I need to be more reactive. Well, sometimes it pays off to have some patience, and if you're not a person who's very dexterous, then it suits you to play these slower decks that feature like Bowler, Giant, Golem. Troops like that take their time, give you room to think, time to breathe. You can figure out what your next move is going to be. This is all textbook right here, guys. Support your tanks, wait for your freezes to get dropped, and I didn't know how this matchup was going to go, honestly, when I saw all the buildings being dropped, but it paid off to have the Bowler. The Bowler's really good. Oh my gosh, don't you just hate it when you drop a troop and it doesn't do what you want it to do? Like, look at that Musketeer. It was just like, oh, I think I'll go this way. Like, where are you going, bro? I needed you to do something. But that was funny. I'm sorry, guys. That was a little side note there. But yeah, it's actually happened to me a lot. I'll drop a troop, like an archer, and they split. I didn't want them to split. It starts walking off in the other direction. And it's like, well, that was a stupid move. But as you can see here, I've taken out both his towers. So at this point, drop the Graveyard. It works the same as when you're taking out the first tower. There's nothing else really supporting it. And it looks like Mohammed really just gave up at that point. He knew the 3 crown was coming. He just let me take it. Again, I don't know. Maybe he queued up with the wrong deck, or maybe there was a level difference. I didn't really notice there. But overall, these games are pretty textbook. So yeah, up next I think is Crazy S from AG Royal Bros. And once again, I got the Ice Golem in my starting hand, waiting for the elixir to build here. I really didn't know what I wanted to do this time around. I kind of like to switch up my playstyle, so I actually dropped the Ice Golem in front. And this guy dropped his Graveyard right off the bat. That was his first play of the game. That let me know that he had a freeze instantly, and that's another key component of this game, guys. Sometimes you need to just be able to recognize certain deck archetypes, you know what's coming based off of what the enemy has done, or based off of what's most popular in the meta right now. Like, you're going to see Elite Barbs, you're going to see Graveyard. And so when he dropped just Graveyard by itself, he didn't have any tank supporting it, anything else incoming, I knew the freeze was coming. So I timed the spawn, I dropped the Mega Minion to fool him into thinking, oh, that's what I'm going to defend, and then I followed up with my archers. I was able to hold off some of the damage. He did a lot, as you can see on the right hand side, it's down half. But honestly, I felt like I was a stronger Graveyard player in this scenario. He let my Mega Minion come up to the tower, even up that damage. Bowler, perfect counter for the Elite Barbarians. Even by itself, it pretty much, I think it gets it to where one Barbarian might get a swing, or two Barbarians each get a swing on your tower, and then it's done. But I followed up with archers, so I was a bit of an elixir disadvantage, but that was okay because I knew he'd have to answer the archers. They had full health, and he did, obviously, with that Mega Minion there. So now I'm just rushing him. I rush him with the Elite Barbs. He kind of panicked with that Tombstone because he had dropped his archers at the same time. So I followed up with a zap, and I was able to get two swings off on that left-hand tower, which, coming from an Elite Barbarian, I think is like 400 plus, depending on the level. Really solid damage there. Again with the freeze. At this point, I knew what he was trying to do. I timed everything out. Archers came down after the freeze, and that I think I've survived 3 graveyards now on that right hand tower, which some people can be like, I don't know how to stop graveyard, or it's really hard to do, but it's all patience. It's knowing what cards to play, and I think at this point I'm just kind of cycling through, trying to kill some time, so I can get a little bit of a bigger lead on that left hand side to really close the game out. That is a strategy that I have not yet mastered. As you can see, he dropped that Ice Golem up in the front. It actually went towards my Elite Barbarians, but if you can get troops to kite some of the more threatening troops that your opponent has placed, like Elite Barbarians or Giant Skeleton, it's a super useful move. It usually ends up in you getting some kind of elixir advantage. As you can see, I took the left-hand tower there. But yeah, elixir management, that's how you win the game. It's in the tips. You know what you need to do. When you have a heavier deck, play it slow. When you have a faster deck, keep the pressure on and keep the opponent guessing. Keep them dropping all the elixir. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up here, guys. Thanks for stopping by and checking out my updated version of the Grave Bowler Troller. It's one of my preferred decks right now. I'm having a lot of success with it on the ladder. But yeah, just make sure to drop a like and subscribe down below. Let me know your opinions, any deck ideas that you want me to feature in future videos. And share this with a friend. Anybody who likes Clash Royale, let them know about Killer Gaming. And if you have any other games you'd like me to try out on mobile, or maybe in the future a console, just let me know in the comment section below. Peace.